Today I'm going to be answering the question that's on everyone's mind. Is it possible to beat PoE 2 with only using the basic attack? So, here's the rules for the run. Cannot use any skills, spells, or attacks other than the basic attack that comes with my weapon. I can use support gems for my basic attack, but that's it. No spirit skills either. 2. I must be on solo self-found, or SSF for short. So for those of you who don't know, SSF means I start a fresh account, cannot trade with other players, and I can't have help from other players. If I'm doing the challenge, it's completely up to me to see it through. 3. Beating PoE 2 could mean a couple of things. It could mean completing the campaign, getting to the pinnacle in endgame, or hit level 100 and maxing your character. In this instance, I'm going to say completion is either getting to a citadel in endgame, or clearing a T15 map in endgame. Welcome back, fellow exiles. Act 3, the pressure is high, and so is my count. I'm sitting pretty at a solid 40 since we kick off this chapter, and it can only go up from here. We're diving straight in, meeting the Jerry bunch at the camp, and finally picking up a tier 2 support gem. Big moment, right? Not really, most of them are essentially useless, but don't worry, I'll show you the good ones later. On top of that, we grab a quest award that gives us a permanent buff to my elemental ailment threshold. Basically, it makes it harder for enemies to shock, freeze, or burn us, which is definitely a much needed upgrade. Now, every act I like to set myself a goal, and Act 3 is no different. But this time, I'm keeping it simple. Survive. Seriously, no more dumpster bosses, because I gotta be real with you, the Titan and the Rathbreaker last episode, pure mental damage to me. I'm still recovering. So let's see if I can actually stick to my goal, or if I'll just end up adding another 40 to that poor counter. Things start smooth, too smooth. We quickly meet the first mini boss of the act, who teaches me a lesson very quickly about survival skills, and that I don't have them. But we come back strong, hit a 360, and get our rewards, which is a really useful +2 skill points. I then use a Chaos Orb on a pair of shoes that were very nearly good enough to use, but I just end up bricking the item, removing the rarity, which is really good for attribute requirements, which is useless. Absolute classic.
Nice.
Then we get a new quest, and that's the Little Witch that's been stealing kids. Sounds bad, but hey, I've seen government officials do worse and walk away with a pension. That joke is aimed at no one in particular, please do not sue me. We then get a buff that I've never seen before, but it seems incredibly useful, and I'll take anything that I can get in this run. Then we find Igniduck, and honestly, I hate this boss, because I usually least monster her, and she snatches babies, in that order. Also, she flies around for a while and is really hard to hit, and she leaves trails of impassable bone structures in her wake, and then she'll swoop off and nuke you. To make matters worse, in her second phase, she then hops off her broom and starts doing more fire magic than Mario Balotelli, but we stay strong and beat her first time, keeping our one and only goal still active. Oh, and we get some spirit from her, which is completely useless. Also guys, if you're enjoying the content so far, I want to see how far this character can go, press the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And also if you do press like, it helps really small creators like me, as I love making content like this. We head on into the Toxic Bloom and immediately take on the next mini-boss, the Noxious Behemoth. We are immune to his spores. There's a little known fact about the mercenary in PoE 2 is he's an avid fan of galaxy gas, which is built up his immunity. Also, this is one of 2 level 2 supports that I'll be using that breaks down armor, called Splinter. It's only good against bosses with a lot of HP, so you won't see me using it too often. We tretch our way through the Chimeral wetlands to fight Cyclusion, the Chimera, who turns out to just be a massive spider. I'm just kidding, he's a Chimera. He'll fly around on land on pillars, shooting fireballs, frozen flames, and manages to make me press the stop recording button. This boss, who's guarding the Val Ruins, actually put up a pretty decent fight, getting me pretty low at some points. After realising I haven't recorded most of the fight, we kill him and we actually get an ultimatum key, which we can use to get second ascendancy point. I don't bother trying it for a couple levels, but it does remind me that I have a Secondist trial that I should go and do. Oh, and we get a pretty decent ring from the shops. I also do the Secondist trial, which I won't show you as I was super overleveled, but I found this new hat which ruins my resistances, but I'm just a slut for rarity, so I put it on anyway. It's not like a lot, right? It'll be fine. We summon Alva to help us out in the Val Ruins, and she's quite an important character this act, so get used to seeing her by her side. She tells us to get Soul Course to progress, and get Soul Course we do, and progress we do. We narrowly escape to safety, except it's not actually safety, it's Blackjaw. It's not like a lot, right? It'll be fine. If you've played PoE before, you've definitely done him, and his stupid free move attack. It's so stupid and dumb, but he gives you a permanent +10 to fire resist, so you kind of have to kill them. The fight goes a little something like this.
Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam.
Now I've had plenty of experience fighting Blackjaw, but there's just something about his free hit combo that just turns my brain to mush. It's genuinely my kryptonite. Like, I see it coming and I'm powerless to dodge right at the wrong time. For God's sake, I've beaten Millennia. After half an hour of dodging and face tanking, I finally get him low enough for the blow. In my opinion, that wasn't many, at least comparatively to how I've done in the past, so I'm not going to say that my goal of survival is over. And he's a tough boss too. Managing to claim our +10 fire resist is super nice as well. So we start our second ascendancy, and the way this one works is you don't have that awful honor system anymore, but each round you see what loot you'll get, but you also have to pick a curse that will negatively impact you for each round. They don't go away. They also have similar but different maps to the second trial, where you do different activities to complete the round. We start off with an easy exterminate mission, which gives us a giant upgrade. This is huge for the account. We'd struggled so hard in Act 2 to get an upgraded weapon, but we walked straight into Act 3 and get this crossbow. It pretty much doubles our damage, if not more. Seriously, I could not believe my luck when this dropped. I could have cried. Maybe I did, don't judge me. My struggles against all the bosses were rewarded. It didn't even have that many mods, so if I was struggling in the future, I could just chuck some currency in it and make it even better. What a result! So happy! Next room is a boss fight, so it's practically a free room, and the boss is another chimera, so it's a really easy fight. The worst part of fighting it is when he flies off, you don't know where to. It's just chasing him down, and him takes time, that's literally it. So, happy to say we get our second big upgrade, our second ascendancy, and I picked Cutting Strike, which is pretty much Alva sends us off to get more soul cores to pop into generators. So we grab soul cores and we pop into generators like so. Then we use a new gem, Close Combat, as we now have some points in Pierce for the skill tree, and I think it's about time we change out that skill gem for some damage. Most of you watching probably melt bosses in seconds. I've never known that life. But with this new crossbow, I'm actually doing real damage, like for the first time. I couldn't be happier. But then it gets better. You see, I looked all over online to see at what point you get another support slot for your basic attack. Some people saying
the gen slots on your basic attack are tied to your item level. Trust me, would never lie in Path of Exile.
Thanks Elon, but no. But it turns out it's at level 40 you get them, so another huge upgrade for the account. Seriously, out of nowhere, this account may be becoming viable. Super happy with it. An extremely impactful few minutes for this account. I only realised this during the boss fight though, and I chuck in Bleed for a bit of extra damage as I didn't have time to think about it. Even for me, this boss is a total joke, so we grab its loot and progress to the next part of Act 3, the waterway part. And now I've hit level 40, let me show you my skill tree. There's all my notable passives. My plan was to move down to the crossbow section much sooner, but one too many compilations have left my cognitive abilities lacking, it seems. Anyways, yeah, waterways. What you gotta do here is go from section to section, throw in the canal levers, and they'll drain the water of the section for you to traverse through. Not too exciting, but we get some gloves that I actually think are really good for our level. Chaos resistance is rarer than me completing a boss fight unscathed, so it's pretty good. Boss fights aside, however, it actually honestly felt like I could hold my own fine against any mobs that the game had to throw against me. It was a really good feeling. I hope it lasts. Let's see how we hold up against some rares. Everything takes long still, but there is a noticeable difference for me. And it even had a defensive ability too, so yeah, pretty good. We're rewarded with a gem cut's prism, which for us is just pretty much gold. But then we get another huge item, a unique, that I can't use. Thanks game. And it even has the cheek to say welcome to Ray class at the end. Oh my god. Swiftly on to the aptly named Apex of Filth, which does sound like a crazy mad metal band, but it turns out it's just filthier than a petrol station bathroom. We soon stumble over something horrific, the Queen of Filth. If you fought her before, you know exactly why I'm censoring her for YouTube. If you haven't, just search up her. I decided, for good taste, I'd replace her with something a little bit more palatable. After that mess, we drop off some mushrooms to a cauldron keeper. He gives us flasks. The mana flask is completely useless on this account, but the health flask is actually pretty decent mods in quality, so we keep it and use it for quite a while. We also see some pretty good boots on for sale, and we completely lose our minds and spend a whole load of currency on it.
Let's go gambling!
Not bad rolls, but I don't think it's worth the currency, I reckon. But at least it'll last us for a long time. Alva requires our attention at the Temple of Kopek, where they've only gone and kidnapped the sun. Not ideal. But upstairs we find the man responsible for all these stun-stealing shenanigans, but luckily a priest who can harness the power of the sun, can fly, and create spells worthy of an eldritch horror, has a weakness to basic crossbow bolts. GG bud. As long as you've got a little bit of fire resist, I'd put this boss on the lower end of difficulty for bosses. As long as you can dance around a little bit and make sure your gear's all up to scratch, you won't really have a problem. And neither do we, which is a great feeling to have. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. We make short work of him and summon Alva, who makes a great discovery about something that should have been extremely obvious the whole time. Yes, it was underneath the encampment the whole time.
Seriously, did no one wonder why they had underfloor heating or something? There was like a sun underneath there. There's probably like spooky cult sounds 24/7. They're like, seriously, nothing give it away. And like the entrance is literally right below the encampment. How is she so surprised by this? I don't get it. But plot holes aside, we go for a time portal because there is one and immediately scare off the locals. A mixture of reading the room poorly and a language barrier leads us to hunting them down and killing them. And not only do we the locals, but we steal their loot as well, as taking a golden idol and then a big old sacrificial heart. After all my power tripping about my new items, I start to get a bit overconfident and pull a few too many mobs at once, followed by the brilliant idea of panicking and running into and aggroing more mobs, including bears. Somehow we survive, I don't know.
Tell you what, I'll keep kiting into more enemies and maybe all my problems will go away. Yeah, just like, oh my god. Oh my god, I've got 2 rares on me. Oh, huge! Then we run into the Viper. Now, I'm all for women's rights, and it seems the Viper is too, as she gives Alva her own women's right and kidnaps her. I say Viper is on the harder side of bosses, with a plethora of different attacks and her arena closing in on you as you fight. She can be a real challenge for builds that aren't optimized, as she uses quite a few different damage types, meaning you really want your resistances high for that fight. I'm actually doing quite a bit more damage than I thought it'd be. When I said I'm doing quite a bit more damage now, quite a bit more damage now than I used to, which is still not very much.
By the way, if you're wondering how long it's taken for me to get here, it's 23 hours so far. With all that aside, she actually gets defeated without taking many of my health flasks down. But then her biggest trick has absolutely baffled me by what she does.
Wait, what? I thought her before, like, she does that? I thought, was I even close to her? I'm so confused. But anyway, I'll take it. But yeah, that was alright. Oh! Right. Yeah, I haven't played in a while. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, that's really cool.
We get rolling into more danger, and we manage to escape and head into the Agarap, a much nicer place than the Apex of Filth, but that really isn't saying much now, is it? Regardless, still not a nice place to be if you're not wanted, which we definitely aren't. From a random rare mob here, we actually get our first unique that is very nearly usable. I actually really thought about using this one, but I just couldn't justify the end costs. It's a huge shame, as I'd love to have a unique in this account that actually makes me stronger. So to make up for it, we buy ourselves a nice new hat. Yeah, hell yeah. For the rest of the act, we decide to mix things up a bit and change around our usual gem lineup. Foregoing our bleed for some extra raw damage, as with my crossbow upgrades, it feels like it's worth investing into our attack now. So we also swap in Splinter for bosses and some rares for close combat. We find the altar for sacrificing the comically large heart that we found earlier and got 2 skill points for our troubles. We head on to the last part of Act 3, the Black Chambers, where we are immediately greeted by one of the best named rare mobs that I've ever seen. Knife the Construct. The name just makes me think of an evil robot from Futurama, like Roberto. He lives up to the name too, as he nearly takes me down in a battle of attrition. But then we come up against the big, bad final boss of Act 3, and pretty much the campaign, Doriani. I came into this fight with one thing on my mind. My goal that I set at the start of the act, survive. I simply couldn't let myself get clowned on again, as I've made too many compilations, and I told myself if I get through this boss with less than 5, I could count this goal as completed.
Oh, same trick twice.
And it would be the first time I actually completed all the goals I set out for myself. Albeit because I vastly lowered the expectations of myself and only set 1. And as you saw, twice. Very early on. This is due to me not really taking him seriously and the fact that I beat the last 2 act bosses on my first try, so after that I locked in and I had my best run yet against him. Doriani, like the Viper, actually uses quite a few different attacks and damage types, as he has a lot of health, a genuine test of your build so far. It wouldn't be easy, but you work them down to a second phase where he heals up and has a different moveset with more AoE attacks at his disposal. Expertly dodging around the edges of the arena, victory was in sight. The huge hurdle of the first half of the campaign was in sight, and bang, he's gone. Campaign pretty much completed, goal completed, Alva saved, my dignity spared. What a day. And we get another really, really good hat that is going to last us for a while. Whoa. Whoa.
That was actually chucked up like that. I thought there was more to it.